Alright, well peeps, today I wanted to do something a little different. This isn't a news video, but this is just a what if, a potential if there was in fact a Nintendo cinematic universe. How would it look? What would phase 1 look like? And I'm going to compare it to phase 1 of Marvel, because I feel like they're just going to copy basically what Marvel did for their first phase. We're going to get into that after the intro. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe and help me grow my video game adaptation channel while the video game adaptation space starts to blow up, and it's going to after this year with The Last of Us and Super Mario Bros being a hit. Okay, now this photo here I found online and it was on Reddit, and I'm trying to figure out the source, even though down on the bottom I can see the Comic-Con poster icon. So this looks like an official photo from Comic-Con, but I'm still just like, if it's official, why isn't it anywhere else online? Why is it not on Nintendo's actual website? So I'm trying to, I can't really figure out the story on this one. But if what I've heard from certain people is true, the next movie would be either Zelda or Donkey Kong, which isn't even on here. So that makes this photo, it looks like it's on a stage, or it could be just on a wall somewhere. But if you look down at the bottom, you can see that these are like Comic-Con pictures. You can't really see what year it is, but you can just tell that's Comic-Con. And there's like someone there looking at this, so it's just trying hard to figure out the details behind this. Over here I found just a picture. These are all just pictures people found. I didn't make them. The first phase of Marvel, even though whoever made this got this way off, because this is in the wrong order. If you were to do this in order, Captain America would be like over here before or after Thor. I forget which one came first. But just to compare to the Marvel's first phase, I mean, they came out with Iron Man, which I guess everyone thought was an interesting choice, because considering all the big stars that Marvel already has, why did they go with Iron Man first? If they had owned Spider-Man, they probably would have gone with him first. At this time, Marvel didn't own them. Sony still held them. Then they also did the Hulk, which is like a weird one-off because it kind of ended up not really being connected. Even though, Hulk showed up later in Avengers, the Hulk that came out after Iron Man, which was like about a month after, Ed Norton. Yeah, I mean the other had Ed Norton playing, and it felt like it wasn't even really connected, even though William Hurt was in it playing the commander or whatever. So, and he was still in the later movies, but this feels like a whole different kind of Hulk than the one that came out just like a few years later in the Avengers, because that's kind of how Hulk's been since the Mark Ruffalo version of Hulk. Again, if I was just to compare to how Nintendo looks like they could do it, we already know the Super Mario film came out and that was a big hit, just like Iron Man came out and it was a bigger hit than they thought. Then they had Iron Man 2. But I don't think they're going to be doing a Super Mario 2 right away. I don't know what this photo is still, but according to whoever did this, Super Mario 2 is over here before Super Smash. But I just feel like this could be completely made up, even though it looks official. But according to the small little Twitter conversation I've been having with someone who said earlier this week on Monday that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is definitely happening. It's in the works right now. They said that the script for Zelda and Donkey Kong are already in the works. I'm going to show what he said in the tweet. And he said for sure that these are happening. He won't tell me how he knows or what his source is. But I'm not sure if how he said it is the order that it's going to happen in. He said Donkey Kong and then Zelda. So I don't know if that said that in the order that it's coming in. He also said that it's in the works with Nintendo's new animation studio that they picked up in October and Illumination. So I don't know if that means one's doing Zelda or Donkey Kong, and the other is doing Zelda or Donkey Kong, or they're doing it. I'm not really sure if that's what it means, but there should be a Donkey Kong either here after Super Mario before Zelda, or after Zelda and Earthbound. Who even knows if any of other these things are right? Detective Pikachu makes sense because the first one came out and that was like kind of a hit too. It seems like a lot of these video game movies are coming out and they kind of end up being a bigger hit than they expect, which is always great. Which is, studios love that. They come out with a movie and it makes more than they thought, and immediately they start working on sequels. I mean, a cinematic universe makes so much sense considering how well Super Mario Bros. Did. I mean, it's already at 500 million plus worldwide now after a week and a couple days. Earthbound, there's no really known characters, kind of, like Zelda, Mario, and Samus from Metroid are iconic Nintendo characters, but I'm not really sure what characters in Earthbound are iconic. It's more like the series itself is more iconic than any characters. So there's Iron Man, and then Iron Man 2, and then after that we had Thor and Captain America. They kind of came out around the same time. They both came out in 2011, and, they were both decent movies. They weren't the best. I feel like they're going to do Donkey Kong next because he was in this movie, so they would have a character we've already seen in his own solo movie. I mean, but then having Zelda or Link in the Donkey Kong or Mario world doesn't even make sense. I feel like they're in a totally different world. Like, this is the Hyrule world, and Super Mario is its own other world. Mushroom Kingdom, I guess. I mean, I guess he lives in the Mushroom Kingdom now. So how would Mushroom Kingdom connect to the Hyrule world? Hard to say. But I guess they're going to have to figure that out. But in the world of Marvel, all these worlds where it was the same quote-unquote real world, where superheroes exist and gods from universes show up and, people get drugged up and get turned into superheroes. So, anything is possible with the Nintendo and what they can do. But, I think the biggest question is how are they going to connect all these different worlds? Just imagine that somewhere here or here there's a Donkey Kong icon, because this is a decent picture in terms of the roll. Plus, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, is it going down and up and down and up like that? According to this, they're saying that Pikachu could be next, but I think it would go this way first. Next would either be Zelda or Donkey Kong. I think Donkey Kong. But none of this has been announced at all whatsoever. So anything you're going to find online about this is all just conjecture, people, making this up. Though I want to find out more about where this photo was, because it looks official. That looks like Comic-Con down there. So then, the Captain America and Thor movie, that could be like, the Zelda and or Donkey Kong movie. That's if they would do a direct sequel to Super Mario next, which I don't think they will. But they'll likely do a Super Mario sequel before the endgame Super Smash. Plus, if they're going to do that in Phase 1, what would be the end of the next phases? Like another Super Smash? Like what other big ending is there to a Nintendo universe than a big mashup of all the characters fighting and stuff like that? I mean, they could all maybe have a big old giant battle against Ganondorf or Bowser or whoever else. But I mean, that's kind of how it would work. Be introducing the main characters in their own movies and then having a big team-up movie in the end. Well, they say it's Super Smash, but that title doesn't even make sense. Then it says the fight against Master Hand. I don't know. I haven't really played a lot of Super Smash Brothers. I basically played it a little bit on the 64 and then that was it. So yeah, Master Hand is, according to this wiki, is like, kind of like the big main recurring boss in the Super Smash Bros. Universe. So he's in a bunch of the different games. He could be the potential, big boss for the end of the series. But at the same time, this whole photo could just be a really good Photoshop. It's hard to say. I mean, it looks pretty along here. It doesn't look 100% like it could be real. And then up here in the corners, the more I look at this, the more I think it could be just a complete Photoshop that someone made look like it was at Comic-Con. And they did a decent job, but if this actually showed up at Comic-Con as a presentation or whatnot, then I would have definitely heard about it by now. Like, I definitely would have heard about it. I'm just thinking this is just a good Photoshop, but the sequence of it does make sense. And other than, having Donkey Kong somewhere here, and Star Fox, that would work too. Plus, I mean, I'm assuming all these are going to be animated, either by Illumination or the other company, Nintendo Pictures, which used to be Dynamo Animation or Dynamo Pictures, based on what I'm thinking is just a really good Photoshop of what the first phase of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe could be, which is a thing that has not been announced. According to my Twitter source, who is 100% convinced it's going to happen, it could happen. And could this be the sequence of how it happens? And there's no years on it. I think if this was official, they would probably actually have the years on there. If they really want to be like how Marvel does it, they would show what actual year, even the exact release date, because they're pretty bang on about their release dates. Plus, with like it being animation, they have 100% control over it, so there's no like things that could screw up production, like, you know, an actor leaving or people quitting, or whether if they were shooting it outdoors or if someone gets sick. The fact that it's animation gives them way more control over it, and they could have it ready for exactly when they want it to be ready. I feel like if they're going to do it, they would have Mario and then Zelda or Donkey Kong, then either Metroid or Star Fox, just to kind of like set up the core team. I mean, I don't see Pikachu being part of that core team. Maybe not, but I mean, you could just look at everyone like Mario is like Iron Man, so then it could be, you know, Link is like Thor. We'll say Link is like Thor, and then we'll say Donkey Kong is like Captain America, and then Samus, Metroid, could easily just be like Black Widow, just because, you know, they're both women. And Star Fox is like, I wouldn't say the Hulk, just if I'm comparing them that way, I'd say more like Hawkeye. These are all just, you know, me guessing, making all this up. But, you know, that kind of makes sense if you look at it from that way. I mean, obviously, having Mario as the first one makes complete sense. He's Nintendo's biggest, most well-known character. And then right after him is basically Donkey Kong and Zelda are almost like tied. I mean, Donkey Kong is originally the original, more than all these. Donkey Kong came out from Nintendo first, before anything else. But then there's also, you know, the characters from the Punch-Out world. They could have, you know, Little Mac somewhere along there, the boxing guy, or one of the bad boxers from the games, like Glass Joe or Ball Bull. Punch-Out would be a Phase 2 thing. Like, how would they put in a bunch of boxing guys? Phase 2 could be like their more grounded phase, actual people like boxing each other. I don't know. That's just me making that out off the top of my head right away. But, you know, comparing the Phase 1 of Marvel to what the Phase 1 of Nintendo could be, I think it would be pretty close. I feel like if this is happening for sure, then they're going to copy how Marvel did it as close as possible. I think they can pull it off, with considering how huge Super Mario Bros. Ended up being. I think it kind of went above their expectations, and so now they're going to come out with more movies as soon as they possibly can. Within the next few years, it could be happening. When an official announcement will be, I could see Nintendo Direct happening, and then they're just straight up going to just reveal the entire timeline of Phase 1, just like they would do it for a video game Nintendo Direct. If you follow that stuff on YouTube, Nintendo always will do these direct videos about big games coming up, like the next Zelda's coming up in a month, and that's going to be huge because it's always huge when it's Zelda. Things like that. They could do it direct, and it would be a breakdown of the entire Phase 1. But who knows when that will be announced? Could be this year. I mean, I'm just guessing they'll do it sometime at the end of this year, because they want to set up the next couple years of movies, with Super Smash being kind of the last one in the first phase. But that's just kind of me hypothesizing based on a lot of images I find online. Like, if you were to Google Cinematic Universe like I did and just look at pictures, there's lots here, but all these are just fan-made. You can just tell. Even without even clicking on them, I can just tell it's all fan-made, because I know this has not been officially announced yet. But this was the best picture that I found, that even though it's photoshopped, I think I'm not good enough at detecting that to tell, but it seems like it is. It's a pretty good one, and it seems like an accurate order. Other than Earthbound, I don't see Earthbound being in the first phase at all. Like, I just don't see how that would work. The characters in there are just kind of replaceable, or maybe they aren't. I don't know. I haven't played Earthbound, so I don't know how iconic the characters in this series are at all. But they're not like Samus or Link, Zelda, or Super Mario, or Donkey Kong. Those are huge, iconic names in the world of Nintendo. And then Star Fox. I mean, Star Fox would be after a Zelda. Like I said, they would introduce the main team in order, and then end it with maybe have another sequel to Super Mario, and then having this, or somewhere in between here. Like if they're gonna do it like Marvel did, they're gonna like the next movie after Super Mario, which is either Zelda or DK, and then the Super Mario sequel, and then either Metroid or Star Fox, whatever one they didn't have. I mean, who knows if you want to compare it with the numbers. They came out with 5 movies before they released the Avengers, the team-up one. So they could have Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Star Fox, and then the main one. Or, you know, take out one of these and have the sequel, and then, you know, the Super Smash finale. If that's what the finale, but I mean, it makes sense, but everyone is just, again, this is all just guessing. None of this is official. But that was just my little kind of video that I wanted to do about hypothesizing if there was a Nintendo Cinematic Universe, what would it look like? What would the timeline be? What would be the order of characters? What do you guys think about what would come out next? Like, what do you think would be or should be the next Nintendo movie that comes out? I think it will or should be Donkey Kong. And then maybe in Donkey Kong they set up Link or Zelda somehow. Even though I don't see how those worlds are connected. But again, I don't know the Nintendo universe that well. Maybe they are somehow. But you know what? That was it for me. I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear comments about the order, that this is all a made-up order. I don't think this is real. Do you think this is pretty accurate? Some of it I wouldn't say. I'd get rid of Earthbound and Pikachu and just have DK and Star Fox and maybe someone else. But yeah, that's just my look at what that's just me comparing Marvel's first phase, how Nintendo's first phase could be. But only time will tell if this is something that does come to fruition. I believe it will, and it'll be announced possibly in the summer during Summer Game Fest with Jeff Keighley, or, well, what E3 used to be. The E3 space is kind of dead because E3 got canceled again. But I could see it happening, being announced in June or July during the whole kind of Summer Game Fest, and then IGN does their own Summer of Gaming thing, which is a little confusing. But it's the time when lots of new things get announced, or games that are about to come out get looked at. So there could potentially be an announcement of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe in June or July. But who knows? What do you guys think? Let me know what you think about any of this. Are you excited? I'm very excited. I'm so happy that Super Mario did really well at the box office, regardless of how much I like the movie or not. I'm just excited about the future of video game adaptations. If you are, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Keep gaming.